We're back. The time is now.
Good evening, welcome to NUFC Talk TV. It's panel night tonight, as you can see. We've got Dr. Omar, we've got Boki, we've got the mighty Win, Tim, and lately, but not so badly, it's Jeffo from 90s Mags coming on board tonight as well, because he's double booked, obviously, because he's so popular.
What's it like to be popular, Jeffo?
He's so bloody popular. He's double booked. But like I say, don't forget, guys, we have got the 90s Mag show as well, which Jeffo and D-Man do as well. So again, please have a look on YouTube and have a look at that. So before we get into tonight's show,
if you hit the bell button, you'll get the lot.
Indeed. Let's obviously get into tonight's show and then we'll crack on. Welcome to everybody watching across all of the platforms. Thanks to everybody that works in the background, does a great job. Don't forget, guys out there in viewerland, please do us a favour and hit that like button. You've been amazing all through the last couple of weeks. Keep it going. Let's see if we can break our numbers. Just helps us get further as a channel. Subscribe, it's totally free. Don't forget to smash that bell if you wouldn't mind, because we do 99%. We do live, unedited. A couple of times we'll do a recording, but it's all unedited. What you see and hear is exactly as it comes out of our mouths. If you want to help us, you can become a member, small monthly fee. Different levels you can choose from. And obviously, if you want to, you can throw us a question in the chat. None of it's guaranteed to be mentioned. So if you want to guarantee, use the $sign. But if you wouldn't help minding us, wouldn't help putting a Q in front of your question, it just helps us highlight it in the chat. And like I say, anybody that becomes a member or any of our lovely members already that gift them out there will be thanked and highlighted as we go. So, gentlemen, on this lovely Wednesday evening.
And just to say, 40 short of 7,000 subs.
Wow, fantastic.
144 in now. There must be some of you that haven't actually subscribed. Cost you nothing. Subscribe to the channel. Get us to 7,000.
Exactly. Yeah, well done. We've got some, again, you can see everybody in the chat there scrolling up your screen. So again, once, from my point of view, and I'm sure all the panel, thank you so much for getting involved and on board. Guys, me and Win did a bit of a go over this afternoon, and we were talking about the Isak situation, and obviously the reports are now saying that Isak's got a way out, a way back into the squad. Reports are saying, again, I noticed today that Isak's actually been seen training with the squad. Now, I've got a couple of pictures.
Wow.
Before I get into these pictures, because I still can't clarify if I'm
when were they taken?
Yeah, I still can't clarify who it is, because, like I say, it's a bit of a distance one, but it does look similar. And there's a obviously Malik Chow, his first training session today with the boys. He was obviously in defence. There's an attacker with his back to you with a bib on. Again, you look at him and you think, is that Isak? Who's in an attack? Very similar stature, body shape, and everything else. So, are we hearing the truth? I think is the first question I want to get to you, because as we all know, I think Eddie Howe wants Isak to stay. Me and Win I come up with a bit of a conspiracy theory this afternoon while I was listening to you guys last night, in saying, are the club happy to keep him or sell him? Because it's a win-win either way. It gets us cleared of PSR for the foreseeable future, and it allows the three non-player entries windows to be null and void, because now you can virtually go with an open purse. So again, it's a win-win. All the rumours for Isak saying that he doesn't want to wear a Newcastle shirt or play for Newcastle again. How true is that? Because obviously we've heard nothing from the player. It's all journalism drawn and pushed, if you like. And is it clickbait? So there's a lot of questions out there that you have to question whether this has just been a spin on the truth, you've also got to say to yourself, Isak had mentioned about not doing another contract on his property because of the 2 burglaries that he's had in there. So his family aren't feeling safe. They want a new property to move into. Hence, his property went on the market. Coincidental, the fact that he wants to move to Liverpool. Lots of things to talk about. Again, I want to start the show to try and get your point of view and your spin on what potentially is going on. And while you guys are talking, I'm just going to throw these couple of pictures and videos on there, and I'm going to listen to and get your version of what you see. Because, like I say, I can't say one way or the other if it is Isak or if it isn't. Win, you crack on and just give me your overview.
Everybody's
of
sick of hearing my views on it, so let's go around.
Well, go on then, Andy. Go on, Boca. Give us your views, dude.
What's your take?
With regards to the lad, we can't get better. It's the top and bottom of it. We cannot bring in a better player than he is in that position. If we can keep him and we can get him integrated back into the squad, it's a positive. It's a massive positive for us, and it stops we're having to panic so much about transfers. If we keep Isak, then we need, if we get Ramsey, which I'm not 100% sure I particularly want, but if we get him, that leaves one more player that we need to get, and that's the squad we wanted for Champions League, in that we've got double up in every position at least. So
I totally agree. I mean, it seems really strange that Newcastle have released their squad numbers, as we all know. I mean, Malik Chow is number 12. It's not on the squad number, but it does. You do have to question if Isak is going, because there's obviously reports as well that certain outlets now have pulled the 14 shirt for sale. Don't know how true that is. I haven't really looked into it, but you look on social media, and because Isak is supporting the third strip and everything else and all the promotions, there's still lots of fans saying, what's this rat doing?
That's it. Because we went to Bogey first. Why are you asking him Mackham for his opinion?
not only a Mackham, but a Chucky.
Chucky Mackham.
Oh, bless you.
That's never going to live me down, is it?
Mate, you're absolutely right. That will stay with you forever and a day. That will.
And what about the Doc? What's his thoughts on the situation?
Good evening, gents. Good evening, viewers. So my view is that I have 2 points to make. One from the club's perspective and from the PIF and Sheikh Yasser's perspective. I think it's gone beyond a financial situation. The way the business deals are done in this part of the world or in the Middle East is very much around respect and honor. And I think they feel very disrespected by what's going on, both by Isak, his agent, and Liverpool. So I think at this stage it's become something around honor and respect. So I don't think they're going to be selling him. That's my personal view. And I think I mentioned last week about reintegration. I think Isak, we've not heard directly from him. We've heard probably from the media, paid shills, in my opinion, people like Romano and these guys. They have an agenda, and I think the vacuum is basically fueling a lot of speculation, which might not be true. So, for example, Gary, you mentioned that his house. So it's actually a rental property, and his rent was up, and he was planning to move anyway before all of this stuff came out. But the way that the media portrayed it, he's moving out of his house and he's looking for a house in Cheshire, is complete nonsense. There's no substance to that these reports. So I think people are just kind of running with things without any verification. My view is that the best signing Newcastle could make this window is to keep Isak. I know his conduct's been very poor, but if you look at purely from a selfish perspective around ability to achieve the most number of points, you're not going to get a better striker than him. And it's just a matter of reintegrating him, healing the team. And players are selfish. He's going to want to perform, even if he might be upset at Newcastle. After a couple of weeks, he's going to want to perform, and we'll get the benefit of that, and we can sell him next year. not to Liverpool, but to another team like Barcelona, Real Madrid.
Yeah.
But
What's on the screen at the minute? As you can see here, this guy
yeah,
supposedly
His
is.
turns, isn't it?
Exactly. I
Could
mean,
be anybody.
everybody on social media is saying this is Isak, but I keep looking, and again, I've had me blooming
Lads,
magnifying glass and everything on it, and I'm still not
Details are
convinced.
not
but does,
definitive.
does, it,
still
So
not
does it really
convinced.
matter where Isak is at the minute? The point is, what we need is if he is going to come back into the squad, is for Eddie to get him rehabilitated with them.
yeah. Well,
You
I
know,
totally agree with that.
trying to take sneak photos of him in training is pointless.
But
Absolutely.
what I would say,
What we need is to get him
Right.
back into the squad.
yeah, absolutely, I agree with that. What I would say to the doc and everybody, everybody's saying Isak, me included, have said he's never been quoted as saying.
Exactly.
But if he hasn't actually said those words, I want to join Liverpool, I'm not going to play for Newcastle again. If he hasn't, why has he not come out and said, I have not said that?
That was going to be my point, Win,
Because
because
go on, Tim.
yeah, that was going to be my point. Like, and I agree. Like Dr. Omar, there's a lot of shields out there who want to kind of have the clickbait, and they'll pull every piece they can, every detail they can to make a headline. But I think if that was you, and somebody was saying that about you, and if it wasn't true, would you just sit there silently, or would you release a statement and say, even along the words of the effect of, while things are being sorted out, I can state that the reports about me, not wanting to train, never wanting to play for Newcastle again, are untrue. You'd say something along those lines, wouldn't you? So
The only
Yeah.
thing,
that he hasn't.
just before
for
you go
me,
any further, though, Tim,
Yeah.
let me just put a point across, because this was actually quite well put from Craig Hope, and I think he has got a point to this. When you and again, there's lots of people that will not listen to what Craig Hope puts across. I understand that, but he does come across with a point. If I don't say anything, so it doesn't come from my mouth whatsoever, but I get my agent, this advisor, to start spreading leaks and everything else. Two things that happens, and it is a get out clause, because we said this afternoon. The other thing it does, as you've seen, Newcastle have been very motivated since the story has been leaked
Yeah.
to get somebody in place. Now, if all of a sudden that changes, you do a complete 360, the motivation for Newcastle to go and get a replacement stalls, because we've got somebody. We don't need a replacement. So either or, it's a win-win for Isak.
I get that, Gary. I
just
get that.
to
And I
say.
heard Craig.
Aldo Pool, thank you very much. Proper doc getting stress-related sick cert.
I think
Love it.
Tim.
Yeah,
I think
I heard-
just to mention, I agree with you. Like but the thing is, nowadays with elite players, they have an entourage, they have a social media team, they have agents, so they don't actually control what they're able to say without approval from a lot of people. So I mean, I'm not saying that he doesn't want to leave. I think he probably does want to leave, but I think the vacuum, both from the club, because we don't have a hierarchy, we don't have a director of communications who's communicating with the fans and telling us what's happening. It's just Eddie Howe. I feel sorry for him. He's basically, being rolled out and answering questions. But I also think that Isak's camp are intentionally not allowing him to make any statements because, for their benefit, the agent's going to make a lot of money. Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is, Omar, like, he's a grown man. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so
Yeah, exactly.
Whether
Yeah.
Craig Hope's point is, if it is true, then that still leads down the road that Isak wants to leave. So whichever way you look at it, do you know what I mean? He wants to go. Like, and as far as I can see, this stuff coming out is a clear tactic to put us off and put the fans off from wanting him any further, to try and make it as toxic as possible.
And
Exactly, bring his value down. To me, it's as clear as day. It's a tactic, and Isak, in my opinion, wouldn't be. He would be approving of that. You know,
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
far as I'm concerned, because again, he wants
Yeah.
out now. Like, in terms of going forward, 2 points I would say is what you've touched upon in terms of him being brought back into the squads, and getting back within the team, getting back sort of united with his teammates and stuff. You know, that would be the dream, wouldn't it? In terms of this season coming up, where everyone can just forget about what's happened, forget about the drama. He scores some goals, and
Yeah.
football being what it is in the moment, after 3 or 4 games, everyone forgets about what's happened. And he is an elite athlete, so like you have all said, he'll have the instinct to score the goals for his own reputation, let alone anything else. I still have in the back of my mind, I just still wonder about when we lose some games and in the dressing room, players kind of want to point the blame. The kind of thing, selfishly, well, I'm doing my bit, it's his fault, it's whatever. He's got a thought in his head, a very strong thought right now, and we can bury that, and he can come back into the team and be united with the team again. But when the going gets tough, a few months down the line, is that subconscious thought going to rise up again when he's sitting in the dressing room thinking, well, I'm scoring goals, it's his fault at the back who's making mistakes? And at that level, if somebody is just 2% off it for those reasons, that can have a massive detrimental effect, and the whole thing can come apart. Now, I'm weighing the two up. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's a tough one to judge which way could go. It really is.
Yeah.
I think
But
you've
Tim,
got those avenues.
is that now why we need a top class coach who can manage that sort of situation? If you're saying that's going to happen, that's the way Isak's going to go, and Eddie Howe can't deal with it, then we need a better coach. Is the top and
I
bottom.
think I would certainly back Eddie Howe to do the best that a lot of people could do in that situation. I mean, he's got his hands full right now, and we'll see. It'll be interesting to see how he deals with it. But I think Eddie Howe is kind of very strong on the togetherness of the team
But
and everyone being in the same boat.
a world class coach would deal with that. If we're
How would
saying,
they deal with that differently?
well, they would just tell them to pipe down basically, because they're
It's not as easy as that, is it? Otherwise, anyone could just tell them to pipe down. It
well,
has to be a very
Eddie can, but I'm saying, has he got the authority over him to be able to do that? And from the way you're speaking, this is just personal opinion, but has Eddie got that sort of power over him? No.
I don't think any coach in this
would a
situation.
top world class coach be able to say to him, "Yeah, you pipe down, mate. You need to be in my team, and you're playing."
But
I know what you're
but do
saying,
you need
but
to
I
be
just
a
in
top
this
world class
situation
coach
when
to
it's
say
went
that
this
though? If you're
far.
managing him,
I personally think that Boki has a point, but I think at this stage, I think Yasser has stepped in and PIF have stepped in very clearly. And from my reading, I don't have information, but from my reading, I think he's been told and very categorically that he's not going to Liverpool. That's from reading between the lines. And I don't think Eddie's done that. I think it's Yasser and the PIF leadership that have told him, because they do have that authority.
well, according to reports now, he's been invited to sit with the prince,
Mohammed bin Salman, yeah.
Dusman. Yeah, he's been invited over. I think it's somewhere in Turkey. He's been
Turkey,
asked to.
yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what comes off that. But like I said, for me, I agree with what Boki was saying. But again, I keep hearing this, high class coach or this first class manager or whoever you want to call. At the end of the day, the coach is there to manage the players. The same
That's
as
what
the
he gets
CEO,
paid for. That's what he
the
gets paid for.
The DOF is there to manage the coach. The owner of the club is there to manage everybody. And I think the biggest problem for me is there seems to be a lot of things that has gone amiss all the way down. So nobody seems to have been able to manage Eddie. Eddie doesn't seem to be able to manage the players. But if you listen to the players that are around him, the one person in the whole of that squad that seems to point the finger and blame is Eddie Howe. And that comes from Jason Tyndall's mouth. So I always say, I don't think it's Eddie trying to play hardball here. I think he's letting time create pressure, and it'll create pressure more for Isak than it ever will for the club, especially if the club manage to get Wisser on board and another, I hope, because the more days that go against towards the end of the window, the more pressure is on Isak to move to Liverpool rather than the other way around. Isak said, apparently, according to these rumours, that he will not don a black and white shirt until he hears directly from Liverpool to say that they're pulling out of the deal.
That for me will be too late. He needs to be making a statement now saying, I have never said I will not pull a black and white shirt on again.
Exactly. And that's what I said. So here's a video, the first video, obviously, of Malik Chow training. Now, obviously, this isn't who I want you to watch. But again, right at the end where you see Malik take a tackle and everything else, there's a gentleman right at the end, and I'll stop it just as we get there. And everybody's saying, this is Isak there.
No.
Right? Again, he doesn't face the cameras at all. So when you look at his stature,
That's a Sula, isn't it?
Is it Asula?
Yeah, it's not Isak. It's not Isak.
He's Isak's darker skinned.
Yeah.
He's slightly slimmer, and also his hair is really low. You can see the hair's like number 3, number 4 level. Yeah.
Well,
also when he trains, he usually wears like a white bandage around his knee, below his
kneecap. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which was the obvious thing. He wears his bandage, but again, as we haven't seen him in training for a while now, I couldn't say either way, and I wasn't going to argue the point because we just don't know. But that's what's out there anyway. They're all reckon this is rumourgate now and BS, and it's again the leak. And I keep going back to it. Is it something that Newcastle United themselves are trying to derive? Because it's a win-win for them.
Let's hear what Jeffo's got.
Come on, Jeffo. Come on, let's give us your points.
Obviously, there's been a lot of good stuff shared so far. In particular, your last point, Gary, I was going to make a very similar point. What I would say is the agent, from what I can't remember if it was Connor or someone else showed it, the agent, Isak is his cash cow because the rest of his stable are shit. So the agent's going to be thinking money, money, money. Like, this is going to be my biggest payday of my life. And I think it's very evident that Isak's following instructions from the agent in order to orchestrate the move. Similar but different tactics to Visser. So you can see it is quite coordinated and orchestrated. Is it a situation where he can't come back? You can never say never. You've only got to look at like Kylian Mbappe in most recent times managed to turn the situation around. I think it would split the camp because there'll be those that are like, you know what, we're happy to have you back, mate. We've built memories together. And there'll be those that will kind of maybe hold it a bit dear to their chest, and it won't quite be the same. And it might be a situation in terms of Isak's output where it's quite similar to Cristiano Ronaldo, though Cristiano Ronaldo was very much more respectful about the way he went about his move, where Ronaldo went from 42 down to 28 goals. Obviously, Isak had, 27 in all comps? Don't be surprised if he does say to see that number drop to around 16 to 20. So that I think that much will be evident. What I'm hoping of the situation is if he does stay, based on what Boki's saying, is we can't really find better out there right now, that he does move away from the Premier League next season. But I forgot the guy's name, but the guy that does the Voice podcast, he was saying that if Isak stays...
He hasn't got a name.
Oh, he hasn't got a name?
He hasn't got a name anywhere.
Interesting.
He is the Voice.
The Voice.
Wait, who's the Voice?
The Noise.
I'm going to say...
Oh, sorry, the Noise. Sorry,
who's the Voice?
The Noise.
The Noise, that's it.
Isn't that Ben?
Is it? I swear, I've seen some kind of name for him. I forgot his name.
I've looked all over the place and can't find a name.
But he was saying something like he would still accept Isak back, but he said it would be all business. There'd be no fanfare. No matter how many goals he scores, there'll be no statue. There'll be no more TIFOs. It's just all business. You're here to do a job. Do it.
Do it.
We'll
And then
support you on the
and
day
then,
with the
and
rest
then
of
you
the
can
team.
move.
And then when you time to go, like to little fanfare.
Yeah, that's
And it may end up being
absolutely
something like
where
that.
I am.
Transactional, like a transactional relationship.
Yeah.
That sort
What
of.
will be interesting? Go on.
I was just saying that sort of, like where, I don't know, like Bruno, he's really well adorned. Like the relationship changes. It's no longer that kind of relationship anymore.
Oh no, that's
Yeah, I do think that the issue that's happened, and again, depending on where who you believe, what you believe, it is all opinionated, and it is all subjective because, like I say, you've got people now saying that a lot of the journals are taking money and bribes off clubs. You don't know where all this is coming from. At the end of the day, what you've got to understand is some of the information. I have to be careful what I say here. Some of the information that these guys they get dropped to them to start the shitstorm, right?
Yeah.
They put it out there into viewerland, and what we do as fans, because that's what we are passionate about the club, not individual players. If you remember, players come and go. They'll never be, we always regress to the '97 team, saying that was our best team ever. Eddie Howe will always be fond in my heart, whether you like him or loathe him, because he's won something with the club. So he'll go down for me as one of our better managers, coaches, however you want to say it. So with these guys, it's quite simple. When you're a journal, they will deliver some news because it's what a mole within the club has leaked out there. And what happens then, and again, unfortunately, with social media, it does get driven a lot by clickbait. And people then add a piece to it. It's like the old Chinese whisper, people whisper down one line, and by the time it gets to the other end, the actual story itself has gone because it's a different story by the time it reaches the other. So we have to be careful where we point the finger of blame. And that's what I said. We've all got an idea. We've all got an assumption of where this has come from. And we all understand that certain individuals, i.e. his advisor, Mr. Lemich, is going to make a pretty pocket out of this.
Well, I am pointing the finger of blame squarely and directly at the 500 people out who are watching, and only 85 of you have hit the like button. So come on, drop out the like for 10 seconds, hit the like button, help the channel grow.
Yeah, Gary, I read somewhere that his agent's been investigated by FIFA for unethical behavior, and there's been a lot of complaints. So and that's consistent with what's been happening in the media. I'm sure he's been leaking,
but to be fair,
information.
It was found unproven.
I know, but there's
UEFA charges were found.
There's no smoke without the fire.
PSV, and Ajax.
I'm just saying that he has been investigated. Not every agent's been investigated for unethical conduct.
No,
the other thing is also
an agent. He isn't even an agent.
Really?
He's not. He's an advisor. His brother's the agent.
His brother is an agent, but he isn't an official agent.
But lads, with all of this, what we need to do is, if Isak does come back into the fold, and Eddie can get him back in, we need to back him 100%.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, but there's no point at all in sort of being negative or anything about that. If he's willing to come back into the fold, then each one of us needs to bite on the tongues and go and just go with it and get behind the lad.
It's exactly the same as how Van Hooijdonk did again with Nottingham Forest when he went on strike. I mean, Dex was talking about it. When he come back eating humble pie with cap in hand saying, "I'm really sorry," he had the best season for Notts Forest he'd ever had. And I think that's something you could see.
The same precedent with Modric as well when he tried to leave Tottenham.
Yes,
he had the best season he ever had. And same Gerrard as well. People forget Gerrard tried to.
Who was Modric's
manufacture
agent?
a move to Chelsea.
Yeah,
sorry?
him.
Who was Modric's
and the other thing,
agent?
It was Lemich.
Was it the same guy?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Daniel
Levy
Levy stood firm. Daniel Levy stood firm, and that's an example.
And they got the benefit of that.
He got a great season out of him.
Yeah.
That's the other
thing is,
he's saying to him, if Liverpool... Oh, sorry.
Sorry, mate. If he does stay, and you kind of fast forward to 3 months' time, whatever, 4 months, 6 months' time, and January window comes along, that'd be an interesting period, wouldn't it? Let's say if he's scoring again, what would happen then? If speculation starts again with Liverpool.
Yeah, I think
maybe with other clubs as well.
That's part of the problem of having a
Independent.
That's part of the problem of having a world-class player.
Of course,
They're always going to be wanted by other teams.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But this is
You're quite right. If
situation
it comes to January and he's scoring goals, yeah, teams are going to want him.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
that's part of the life. World-class striker.
We've seen how he himself deals with this. Like not every player, but a lot of players have that attraction from other clubs, but not every player reacts this way. So when this situation comes along again, what will he be like? I mean, he's like this now without the games. Can you imagine when there is games and we need to be fully focused and he's got that swirling around? I'm just asking the question.
I mean, it's a good question.
He knows in his brain then that he's under contract. So if we get through this transfer window and keep him and sort of say to him, you're not going anywhere, he knows in the next one that we'll do exactly the same to him, so he can do whatever he wants. He can come out, chuck the toys out the
As many tantrums as he wants, but
he's clearly been poorly advised, because I can't remember in memory any top player who's been able to leave with 3 years left on their contract. 2 years, yes. And I think the reason something might happen next year is it will come to that point where it's like, actually, we don't want to get to the point where he's got 1 year left and we're only selling him for 60, 70 million. There will be a kind of catch-22 situation where, like, we want to keep him, but we could still get around 100. Let's do it because we need to make profit.
But actually, Jeff,
it's a business.
Yeah.
Actually, Jeff, the one shining example of that happening, exactly this scenario, was Harry Kane. He wanted to go with 3 years on his contract. Levy wouldn't let him. They still got 20 goals out of him. He wanted to go with 2 years on his contract. Didn't let him go. 1 year on his contract he went. And what did he go for?
100 mil.
Exactly. Not much less than they would have got. Probably more, actually, than they would have got 2 years earlier.
Yeah, I think the other point to make is also like the bigger picture. So we don't want to create a precedent where any player, his head gets turned and then he holds the club to ransom and gets what he wants. Because right now, what does Isak want? He wants to go to Liverpool, as what we've heard. And what does Liverpool want? To get Isak. So if we then cave in at this stage, then other players like Tonali potentially next year or Bruno might act in the same way. And then you just open the floodgates. And so you need to hold your nerve. And I also think, honestly, guys, I don't think PIF will sell to Liverpool. From my experience of the way deals are done, they're going to tell him, listen, you're staying here 1 year. Next year, we're going to sell you to Barcelona, Real Madrid. Yeah. There's no way we're going to sell you to Liverpool.
That's why I think it's weird, the ambition of the player, and this is no insult to Liverpool because Liverpool have won 6 European Cups. So
they don't need him, by the way.
They aren't a super club. You know, they're not a Bayern Munich, they're not a Barcelona, they're not a Real Madrid, and most ambitious players want to go to those clubs, not to Liverpool. So I have been shocked by the whole thing, but also the other thing is the club do have form with this because they did this with Virgil van Dijk as well.
They did.
I do find it funny with Liverpool. They always try to play the little person. They're the ones that have been wronged. There's always injustice, and yet they get up to a lot of naughty stuff.
Jefferson, the other silver lining, I think, people in the football world have come out and called out this poor conduct and unethical behavior. Gabby Agbonlo, who has no love lost for Newcastle, he made a very strong statement. I don't know if you guys listened to it. Simon Jordan, even Gary Neville, even Jamie Carragher, they all said that what's going on is unacceptable and is not, conducive to good football ethics. So actually, Newcastle come out in a good light the way we've dealt with it.
Yeah, do you think one more point? Do you think the systemic issues? So I'm not adding fan to the flames in terms of what Boki was talking about. I'm just trying to get more understanding and looking in terms of like future proofing to sort of prevent this happening again. When you look at some of the factors, it might be ifs and buts. The not dealing with the Callum Wilson situation probably might have contributed to it because he's having to do double the work, double the shift. So in terms of the player welfare, it's poor. You know, he's probably fed up of that. So signing a Wissa might be a persuading element. But the other thing is, we have to stop trying to sign average players. We need to sign players that are going to add to the quality that is already there, that might persuade him to stay, because he's like, hold on, we've finally got an 11 of full quality. There's no like also Rands here. I think so. If we're going to sign a Jacob Ramsey, does he improve us? No. So when we're looking at signing players, we need to sign a player that's better than Joe Linton. Not, oh yeah, he'll fit in the squad, he can cover, we can. No, we want improvements on the current first team. It's that kind of thing that will make Isak stay. And I think that does play into the manager's limitations, because his MO.
That's
No,
where that one was going.
I'm not being critical. I'm just saying facts. He would prefer a player that plays to his strengths, i.e., he can do the coaching on the coaching pitch and improve them. But there comes a point where we're so advanced, we can't keep like getting players where it's like, oh, Eddie can improve them. We just need to add the quality. So they need to be a Tonali level, they need to be a Bruno level, etc. So
But
for
hang
example,
on,
40 million
this,
on Ramsey is not acceptable. That's
this,
wasted money.
this is the very same Jefferson that was saying we shouldn't be going for the stellar players at the top of our lists that we had. We should be looking for mediocre players on the continent.
No. I didn't say mediocre. I said value for money, because I said buy low.
You said
and
they don't
and
necessarily
sell high.
have to be better than what we've got.
Well,
Yeah, I mean,
said-
Jefferson.
It's his what's the word? Because Gary did a good. You know what? When he gets
No,
into it,
you're
he did a
changing your
5-minute
tune
chat about it.
completely now.
No, I didn't say that. I said I agree with Gary's point from a few shows ago, where you've got that complexity of, okay, it's a conundrum. Do you buy players to bulk up the squad so we can rotate, or do you buy players that can challenge the existing first team players? Then the existing first team players become the squad players.
And
I've
what
always
about
said,
Jefferson,
from
yeah.
day
rather
one?
than waste money, Premier League proven, I've said it so many times, you're going to spend 40 million, for example, on Jacob Ramsey, injury prone, same player profile as Joe Willock. So he's not actually going to add anything or improve the side, right?
Can
Not-
And then, but you
yeah.
could
Not
try and have
injury
Higuera
prone.
up 25 million, saving yourself 15 million, and he's got a higher ceiling. He doesn't get injured, and he's a better player. That
Can-
is
can I ask a
like
question?
that.
Well, bust that myth. Jacob Ramsey had Jacob Ramsey's injury stats up last year. He missed 5 games last year with a hamstring. The last time he missed a game through injury was in 21-22. And that
All
was
right.
three.
Can I
That
ask-
was 3 games with
can-
a hamstring injury. But sorry, no, it
Can I
was
ask-
ankle injury. Ankle injury.
He had a metatarsal. He had a
was gonna
metatarsal
say.
injury.
He broke
Can-
his toe,
yeah,
yeah.
can-
He's been out for like 200 days with his foot alone, with a
Yeah.
metatarsal and then a
Yeah, yeah.
reoccurring metatarsal injury. So he's
Guys,
out
can I
200
ask a
days out.
question? Can I ask a question? If we had another manager like Mourinho or Nagelsmann, would we have been more successful in recruitment this summer?
100%. 100%. There should be no argument on that.
I mean,
whatsoever.
it's like I said, for me.
What
when
about
you-
what about Tim? What do you think, Tim?
I mean, Mourinho, like,
I'm not talking
yes,
about.
he's got the draw,
yeah,
hasn't he? He's Mourinho.
Yeah.
So I think he would draw potentially more established players
Yeah.
at the top
Yeah.
level, but
Yeah.
that's another conversation with Mourinho. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
As to whether he's the coach.
You see,
that
yeah.
want.
See, yeah.
I
think
get your point. For me,
Gary,
though,
sorry,
what-
just can I just
yeah,
add one thing?
I just want to
Okay.
counter argue what you've said there, because I hear this all the time, right? When you got a coach, and it doesn't matter, and I go back to Ancelotti at Everton, great coach, world beater,
Impeccable.
in the right
pedigree.
time, in the right place, with the right money. Now, again, I keep saying it. All these names that everybody keeps spouting out will still come under the same PSR regulations that we've had under Eddie Howe. So it doesn't matter what your name is, you will still be only able to spend a certain amount of money. Now, does that bring you better players? You could potentially cast your net further afield in the
Yeah.
European market to try and get up and coming players that you've previously scouted. I can't argue the point on that. What I'm saying to you is everybody seems to forget you're still under a stringent ruling regarding finances.
Yeah,
So
but
it doesn't
Gary,
matter who
but
you
I'm-
are.
I'll just say,
I'm
I'll
asking-
just
Just one quickly.
One at a time,
Jack,
guys.
say
'cause
about
you're all
Mourinho, I
chatting.
think what he would do is like he's like the opposite, where he has a track record of signing players who are in the prime, but you're not, in 2 or 3 years down the line, you can have players who are sort of like 30, 31 on high wages. And in our situation, like you say with PSR, we need to have that resale value as well built into some of the signings. So I think a medium is really what you need.
But the point I was making is that the targets we've gone for, João Pedro, Ekitike, Sesko, if we had Mourinho, he would have had that money to spend. And I think selling the club, selling the vision, having that international persona, you see these elite players, they get excited by elite managers. I'm not discounting Eddie Howe, his achievements, but sometimes the club needs to move to another level. I personally think PIF have wanted to get rid of Eddie and wanted a high profile manager, but because he's performed so well, they've not been able to get rid of him.
Okay,
Would you
then,
agree? I would agree with that.
Can I raise a
hold on.
quick point on that?
Yeah, go on.
Just in regards to this, is anybody seeing the players that were signed have significantly improved the squad that we had before?
Well, that's something I want to come to in a second.
Well, breaking news.
No. But there's not one of them that significantly improved the squad.
Well, I think Malik Chow has,
And to be fair,
and Alanga.
going back on strikers, any striker that we're saying isn't going to significantly improve the squad. So we're at a stage where that we're signing players on 5-6 year contracts, massive amounts of money that potentially aren't good enough.
5-year contracts. Let's have it right.
Well, 5 years
Let's have it
contracts
right.
that aren't good enough. So is this the right way for the club to be going?
Who says they're not good enough?
Me?
All right.
Well, but that's
Breaking news.
Go on, go for it.
Spurs have just snatched defeat from the jaws of victory, leading 2-0 against PSG in the UEFA Super Cup with 5 minutes to go. They then conceded 2 goals, 2-2, and they've now been beaten on penalties by PSG.
Wow.
Eddie Hand's time.
2-0 up with 5 minutes to go.
You've deflected well again. Are there any players that you can say that have 100% improved us?
Well,
I think Langer is a definite
hold on. Let's
improvement
go
on
because
Murphy.
that's a segment that I want to bring in totally in a second. So
All
bear
right.
with me a second.
Right.
But I want to ask you guys now, right? Manchester City, right? When they were taken over, they hadn't got a world name behind them. They'd got a lot of money to back them up. Players just come, not for the person who was coaching them, but because of the finances that they could have regarding wages. So, for me, when you're looking at whether a player comes or not, the biggest hurdle that we have to overcome is player wages first. And it doesn't matter who manages the squad, because you're not going to come for a project, because that's all Man City was before they become a world team, a global team. They were just showing you a project of where they want to be, an elite number one side across the globe. And it's taken them so many years to get there. But there wasn't a massive name at the club at the time of the takeover, but they were still able to get players through the door. So why was that?
Yeah, they had.
There was no PSR, so they could pay wage. If we had no PSR,
Well,
we could pay whatever wages we wanted.
There you go. That's what I'm trying to say.
They didn't have Sven-Göran Eriksson. When was it or had he left?
No, he had left.
He'd got
That was
it.
the previous.
But the
Was
first
that 2007, wasn't it?
But remember the
Mark-
first takeover
Mark Hughes.
under the tie guy, but they left Stuart Pearce, wasn't it?
Yes,
So
yes.
even though they weren't the best, he signed a higher caliber player. Your Martin Petrovs,
Yeah.
your Alanos, and all that. So it shows.
But look at the money that they were
When
on.
you get a reputable manager in, you improve the squad. More players want to come to you. They're not going to play for your Stuart Pearce like an average English manager. Like, we have to get real guys. Do you know
But what I'm saying is the players that were brought in, even to start that threshold, were all on massive amounts of money. And that's what I said. And that's with just a bog standard name, Mark Hughes. You know what I mean? He was bringing player after player. Anyway, go on, do this one.
Irish Assassin, thank you, Irish, for your $10. I love Eddie, but if we had Jose, Klopp, someone like that, we would have had a better window. Those managers wouldn't get pushed around by POF, and a DOF and CEO replacement would already be at the club. So there you go. That's what Irish thinks.
PIF met with Jose at the Formula One.
Yeah.
And
What
Yeah,
the
we
leaks,
know all
came
of
out, the leaks came out that they had talks with Inzaghi
And Mancini as well. Mancini.
Mancini as well. So
Yeah.
Win, what do you think
You
about
know.
that super chat? Is that right?
No, what I think is that with any of those managers, had they taken over when Eddie took over, there would be nowhere near where we are now.
That's a different question.
Right.
So that's a completely
Now
different
we are where we are now.
Yeah.
If we'd had one of those managers, would we have had a DOF? Would we have had a new CEO? Who knows? Who knows whether we would or whether we wouldn't? Nobody can tell.
But this is your opinion,
But
Win.
we would have still been restricted
So
by the money.
Here we
When
go
we
then.
bid, we bid
The
90 million for
sentiment.
Sesko. We bid 90, and if you
Yeah,
had
we've got the
Mourinho,
money.
Nagelsmann,
We've clearly got the money.
When
Yeah.
can I just stop you there? You say we're restricted by the money. You're the one that said at the start of this window, money isn't an issue.
It shouldn't have been. Well, it's not by virtue of the fact that
Now we're restricted by it.
Well, because
well, you're restricted
whoever,
by wages, aren't we?
whoever is making the
Sell a
decisions
player.
is
Sell a
deciding
player.
what we're going to pay.
Too
Well, here
much
we go then.
sentiment. The manager's soft.
This is to go on what Boki was asking, and I've got. I mean, obviously, there's a couple of players here that still have to be signed up yet, but the potential, the final stages. So that was the question for the main part of the show. But again, Isak seems to always want to take 45 minutes to an hour to discuss. So on the pictures that I have in front of you were the players that have left to the players that potentially could replace. So, Boki, do you not believe in your heart of hearts with the players that I have listed here, we haven't upgraded the squad?
So we've got Ramsdale for Dubravka.
Yeah.
Have you changed your name, Win?
No, I'm asking a question because you asked that question, and I'm saying you said no, we haven't had. No, I know, but what I'm saying is
Ramsdale 100% yes, in that he's younger and we've lowered the age of that position, so you cannot dissuade that. Yes,
Right.
defender wise, yes.
Joe for Kelly.
Yep, new defenders, great.
Ramsey for Longstaff.
Ramsey for Longstaff, is that a particular upgrade or is it just a younger player? I think that one has to be sported.
Wow.
The two up front are definitely not upgrades. Isak's the best player. Either of them.
No, but hang on. Elanga for
Isak's not there.
Almiron. Elanga for Almiron.
Again, I'm not denying that Elanga from Almiron's an upgrade.
Right. And Wissa for Callum Wilson.
Age-wise, yes, again. But
and output.
Aye.
yeah, but the top point is that we've lost the best striker.
No, we haven't. He hasn't gone anywhere.
But I'm saying if this is what we're talking about now, if you're putting these in front of us, then
Plus Isak.
But because you're saying we haven't upgraded the squad in any way,
I haven't said that.
I thought that was what you just said, by the way.
No, I said that we've upgraded positions, but the squad isn't upgraded in regards to quality.
Well, there's the squad. How's that not upgraded?
Because Isak's gone.
You've just ticked every one apart from Ramsey against Longstaff. And I'll tell
saying,
you what, if you put that to a vote, I know where that'll go.
But I'm saying Isak is gone. If Isak's gone, it's a downgrade on squad.
I think it's like I said, for me, when you look at the players that have left, that are no longer involved in Newcastle, because that's what you've got with the lads that are on the board. You know, I've just had a look at Brandt again. You know, this is Murphy versus Elanga. It's not because they're in the squad. They will have to compete for that position.
Almiron versus
within the squad. The players that have been upgraded are the players that have left the building now and have been replaced by another player. That's when you upgrade the squad. What you want then is good competition within the squad to play in the 11. And the biggest problem that Newcastle have had for a very, very long time is they've had nobody that can come off the bench and make a difference.
Okay,
I
Gary,
look at some of these now.
Sorry, I think I got my point slightly wrong. Can I ask a question around those players?
Yeah,
Who is better than what we had already?
all of them.
All of them?
All of them are better. So Ramsey's going to start every game.
Well, Longstaff didn't start every game.
I'm going to say, you've got to think of where Longstaff was, and everybody
No,
moaned about Longstaff didn't change.
Sorry, I meant first team. Of them players who are better than what we had already.
Well,
Malik Chow.
Only Chow, really, innit?
Malik Chow, one player.
So
Ilanga. Ilanga, you don't think is better than Omar?
Scraping the barrel here, guys, aren't we?
Well, how are we scraping the barrel?
It's not Miggy. He's meant to be competing with Murphy.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
Murphy's still here.
Murphy clearly outperformed him last season.
Murphy is still
we
here.
were saying we needed an improvement on Murphy.
Murphy is still
Isn't
here.
Ilanga an improvement on Murphy? That's yet to be proven.
No.
Based on last season, it isn't.
Hang on, Jeffo. If you want to go down
One at a time, guys. You're shouting out of each other.
If you
And
wanna
honestly,
go
it just
down that
spoils
route,
it for everybody
it's
else.
Murphy and Ilanga versus Almiron and Murphy.
But you look
That's
at the
what you were
question.
trying to do there.
Did Almiron leave in January?
You look at the question.
Why
on
are
the
we
screen,
talking about him?
It's
We're talking about who's left in the summer. Like, he's gone.
Yeah, but this is what I'm saying. You've got to understand that the squad is thinner and was never replaced. So we have to bring in players now. What's
But
that?
Gary, what the question is
Wilson I get because everybody knows
because he's just left.
Wilson replacement and he's literally just left.
Yeah, but
he left about 7 months ago. So why are we even talking about him? We're seeing whether he's an improvement on
Have it, will you? Say thank you to the super chat, Jeffo.
Thank you, Super Chat. You, Jones. I love you. Win.
Hugh Janus. Well done.
But lads,
I got captured on that this afternoon.
The big question is there that the question is upgrade. Which one of these players is an upgrade on what?
Every one of them.
got to prove it.
No, our first team. Which one is an upgrade?
But that's what I'm saying.
Only
no. That's not what you're not looking at the picture here. You have lost all of these players out of a squad, right? So you have to bring players back into the squad just to make the void numbers the same as it was before.
But Gary, you're missing the point.
No, I'm not. I'm asking. No. I've listened to it. Yeah,
you're in that. If we bring players in, they need to improve the team, the first team. Which one of these players comes straight into the first team as a replacement for somebody?
Well, I can guarantee you now. Well, I say I can't guarantee you, but I think Che will start over Shaw a number of games, and I think Ilanga will start over Murphy for a number of games.
So 2 out of 5.
But what I'm saying is, without the 5 Boca, you haven't got a squad.
Of which 2 haven't been signed.
Yeah, but that's
what I'm saying.
Dubravka was not first team. Longstaff was not first team. Callum Wilson was not first team.
Kelly wasn't first team.
But we're supposed to be going. We're supposed to be going to the next.
Right, guys, you're all talking over each other.
We blame what crap recruitment in the past for this recruitment this time. Anybody that comes in should be challenging for first team. You guys are seeing out of the 5, even there that 2 as Jeff says we have the same, but out there 5, only 2 challenge for the first team.
What I'm saying is, no. What I'm saying is, what you get now is 3 or 4 players on there, and I'm going to say it. If Ramsey signs, now I agree with you. Like I said, I've put these guys on before they've signed, that it was a bit of a risk to do so because it's like I'm looking into my crystal ball and I can see what's going to happen because Wolves will probably come in and take over Whistler or something like that. But what I'm saying is, from the players that have left the building, that are no longer involved, they still have to be replaced. You cannot go into a domestic league, cup and Champions League with the squad that we've had. So rotation, are these players that I have highlighted now, would they, and I'm not saying they'll challenge for the first 11 week in, week out, but do they make a difference from the players that have left? That's the
Gary,
question.
Ramsdale and Chow, yes. But
Yeah.
I'm sorry to say, Elanga still a lot to prove. He hasn't proved it in a Newcastle United shirt yet. And we know that the style of football at Forest is very different. We also
Yeah.
don't know if we're going to have a centre forward. So his performance may rely on us having a decent centre forward. So it's too early to say. We haven't signed Visser, so he's not in the conversation. We haven't signed Ramsey, he's not in the conversation. And even if we have signed Ramsey, how many games is he going to play? Because he's always damn injured. So on the basis that Longstaff was always fit, I would say Longstaff is better than him. And I don't even
right.
rate Longstaff.
Gary,
We
there's
are
also
scraping the barrel, gentlemen.
No,
Sorry,
I think
there's
you're
a there's
looking
Breaking it.
at the pace. Go
Gary,
on, go on.
there's a different perspective, like you mentioned. I agree with you. If you're looking at the players who are squad players, have we improved the squad quality? I think yes. But what I would want is players that go directly into the first team, so they displace existing first team players who then become squad players. So there's a different approach.
They're
Very
absolutely a
different.
different approach. But what I'm
Yeah.
saying to you is we are into a window, right? And I mean into a
And I-
window that's coming very close to closing. And we've got a squad that's been restricted on any transfers because of situations that none of us can answer because we don't know the background. And what we have is a void of players that have left because of end of contract, being sold for good business, or actual fact didn't actually do anything for the club. They didn't make a difference when they came off the bench. So they've been replaced by, yes, not elite players, yes, not the big name players that everybody, well, a couple on this paddle want us to have. But what I can see here is players that will be able to be adapted within the Eddie Howe structure of a squad that will make a difference when they come on. They may not challenge the 11, but they will certainly be able to make a slight difference to the team when they're asked to come on and make a difference. Where before, the upgrade, Miggy, I know there's a lot of fans for Miggy. I never saw anything with Miggy. I never saw anything with Longstaff apart from running off the ball, which he got all the praise for. Kelly, it was damn good business. They got him for free. They sold him for 20 million. And obviously Dubravka, well, you can cough because that was your mate Mitchell. And like I say, if we do get Wisser and Ramsey,
Wasn't Mitchell that got him for free though?
it wasn't Mitchell that got him for free.
Paid him what, 150 grand a week or something?
But
That
Gary,
well,
might have towards Isak being pissed off as well. Because he's
So
seeing
you
all these
guys-
clowns, he's seeing these clowns walk in the club and get paid more than him.
So I'm just going to ask you, yes or no, upgrade or no upgrade for the 25-26? Win, upgrade or no upgrade?
Absolute upgrade.
Bokeh,
100% not.
Doc,
Well,
don't sit on the fence, yes or no?
No, but we haven't got signed two of the players, so
I'm just if we have,
But we've
are
still
they
got
upgrade?
Isak if you want to play that game.
Yeah.
I know. Okay, if we sign those players, I think the squad is improved. Yes.
Tim,
Yeah, if those players come through the door, I would say yes.
Jeffo, obviously not.
No, I'd say 50-50.
Oh
Particularly,
yeah, you see that.
particularly with Visser. If we get Visser, of course, like...
Yeah, but he's not going to
Wilson was
start if
never
Isak
fit.
stays.
Because Wilson was never fit. But guys, they haven't signed yet.
No, I know. It's hypothetical.
No,
That's what I'm
Isak
saying.
hasn't gone yet.
So, like I said, for me, it's a good bit of business.
It's an improvement.
It's a good bit of
an
business.
upgrade.
It moves us forward. It doesn't move us into a Champions League contender team, though. I agree with your
I
argument.
was going to ask a question.
You can.
Of all these players that we've got there, who's the elite player, the player that set your
None of
heart,
them.
set your heart racing that we've signed them?
His name's Sue Park or Park Sue, whatever his name is.
No, in all seriousness, you are saying that we've upgraded the squad.
Yeah.
So which squad player is the one that gets your heart racing the most?
Malik Chow for me.
Chow
Malik Chow
started.
for me.
And certainly Ramsey over Longstaff. Whatever anybody wants to change their minds and say now.
So Ramsey,
It's not a problem, mate.
Ramsey's
Thanks, mate,
amazing-
for your support.
Amazing midfielder. Will he start win over anybody else in that midfield?
Right, hang on. Can we just get back to this? At the start of the season, when I was saying we need to be signing
really
team-
Hold on. You're talking over each other and nobody can hear either of you.
the current first team get relegated to the bench, and that makes the squad, the bench, stronger. I was getting argued against left, right, and centre, saying, no, we need to strengthen the bench.
So
And
when
when was and when we
out of them
when
players,
hang on when we started
who gets
going,
relegated to the bench?
when we started going for these elite players who would go straight into the side and were getting knocked back on them, and Buemo, Pedro, Ekatike, the list goes on, Sesko, everybody, especially you and Jeffo, were saying we shouldn't be going for those. We should be going looking on the continent for somebody who can
When
who
this
got an upgrade.
this is the point that you want to one of your monologues. Just a simple question: who are the players that get relegated to the bench that were in the first team last season out of the signings that were made?
Well, I would say certainly Murphy and probably Shea.
So we've
And,
signed
and if I had my way, Pope.
five players and two get relegated to the
But
bench.
Yeah,
but
but
it's a
Wilson
squad
wasn't
game.
in the first team. Longstaff wasn't in the first team. Kelly wasn't in the
I
first
didn't say
team.
that. I didn't say that. All I asked was who out of the new signings go straight into the team.
I'm saying who out of those new signings shown there is better than the players on that chests, and I'd say every one of them.
So how many goals and assists did Murphy get last season? Was it 9 goals
8 and
and
11 or something.
Yeah, similar 20, 21. Was it 21 or 22? Something like that,
so
wasn't
he's
it?
outperformed
Yes.
Elanga last season. So why does
Yeah,
it? And Elanga's come from a lesser team as well.
Yeah, but we're not
Why,
comparing
why does
Elanga with
Why does
Murphy.
Elanga
We've
get in
still
over
got
Murphy?
Murphy.
Because even watching the preseason games, Murphy's done better than him as well.
We've still got
Especially
Murphy.
against Arsenal. So
We've
I
still
don't
got
get.
Murphy. But
I still
comparing him with Almiron,
I still don't get the hype about Elanga. £55 million is a lot of money.
it doesn't matter. Is he better than Almiron?
Haven't really seen anything.
Is he better than Almiron?
Better than Almiron, but Almiron's long gone.
That's okay.
He's old,
That's
he's
how
old
we're
news.
comparing. We've still got Murphy.
Guys, I
still
need to
got
leave.
Murphy.
I need to leave,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna say bye.
Doc,
Yeah.
thank you ever so much for
Thanks,
coming
Doc.
on. Speak to you
Take care,
soon.
guys.
Take
Bye.
care.
See you. Bye. Bye. Cheers.
See ya.
Bye.
You're completely missing the point. As Irish Assassin said, we've still got Murphy.
Right.
You're comparing Elanga with Almiron. You're comparing Ramsey with Longstaff. Neither of which were first team regulars.
Yeah, I think you missed the point. For me, the upgrade is about a squad game. It's not about a 11 because we know we haven't upgraded. You would have to pay some money out to replace one of the midfield three, potentially J7. If you was to question it, you could probably get away with, because I don't think J7's going to be in that three for a long time because he's 29. And for me, it's a case of your squad has to take priority. And then you build on your 11. Because if you haven't got people that make a difference coming off the bench, which has been Newcastle's struggle for seasons, then you will never go forward anyway. Because you're only pulling, and again, we're in a situation where elite clubs will always take the cream off the top of the milk. So you're in a sticky situation. So I understand the signings.
I think with Murphy, like you're saying, Jefferson, about his stats, I think if you're going off how Murphy performed, it's hard to actually improve on that in a way when you look at those stats. So I think with the Elangas, essentially we needed to sign somebody because Almiron had went. So as good as Murphy was last season, we still needed somebody to come in and challenge that right wing spot. Do you know what I mean? So like Murphy's still there and Murphy could start, but the question is then obviously is Elanga a good player? I think he is a good player. Like I agree, there's question marks around when we're playing against a low block. But I have liked what I've seen from him. I liked what I saw last season at Nottingham Forest. Granted, I know a different setup, like you say, but he was the only player against Madrid in the friendly for me who was shown an effective threat. And if we had a striker in that game, I think we would have scored potentially through his crosses, through his play. I think with Malik Chow, the big thing he gives us, from what I've seen, I can't claim to be an expert on him, I haven't seen him loads, but from what I've seen, he has the pace, and we absolutely needed that pace in that back line. And I would like to think that throughout the season, come the end of the season, Malik Chow will be number one, and his pace will allow us to push up and not be caught as much as we can be on the counter. With Jacob Ramsey, I think that spot in midfield, Joe Linton's spot, is the one where you think, okay, can we go big on an upgrade? the money comes into it when we're juggling things with strikers and defenders. How much money can we allocate to a top class centre mid? And you're going after a third, fourth choice centre mids, you're not going to be able to get potentially the class that you want to get, because they're going to be like, well, I want to be a number one on the team sheet. And to get those players obviously costs more money. I mean, with Ramsey, again, I agree, Jefferson, in terms of like, he's very much like Willock, isn't he, in how he plays? But I do think he's a lot better. From what I've seen, he seems a lot better. He has more of an attack and thrust to him, a better close control, from what I can see. So I think he's definitely a better option than Willock. And again, it depends on the game and the style. If, as the season progresses, and we're playing teams in a low block, and Ramsey comes in and shows his talent, he may well potentially come in for Joe Linton and form that partnership with the other two. Because if we evolve, we might need that, and he might bring more creativity and more thrust going forward than Joe Linton does. Because as good as Joe Linton is, he does lack that creativity going forward. And he's only at his best, I would say, in certain games where it's kind of against the big teams, where we need that physicality. So, I agree in terms of when you're going for players, the ideal thing is that you upgrade on the first 11. That is the ideal thing, obviously. But I think that when you look at it and you look at our circumstances with money as well and having to spread things across, we could come out of this window a lot better than it was certainly looking, that's for sure. I'd say that.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, for me, the first plan of action has to be replace those that have left, because it's a squad game. Then you concentrate potentially on whatever's left in the window. If Isak does go, and Liverpool come in with an offer that can't be refused, then that's when it gives you your purse to go out there and start looking at the first 11 that can be ultimately changed and replaced. And I think that is what I was trying to ascertain from you guys, because like I say, I understand your points of view. There's a couple of players there that aren't actually involved in the squad, haven't been signed yet. And I understand that and appreciate that. But it's like I said, the reasons why they're going for these guys and the types of players that they're going for is solely and purely to get depth back within the bench. And if you notice the last couple of games, how many kids have been involved in on the bench, and how many goalkeepers that is there, it gets bloody frustrating because we haven't got the numbers supporting the 11 that's on the field. So surely you've got to fill the void somewhere. And the only way you can do that is potentially bring in players that fit the mould.
Let's do some of these super chats, Gary.
Yeah, go on, mate.
I was just asking, the players on the list are all squad players. How do you guys not understand the upgrade on them? This is driving me crazy. The Doc's left. It's crazy. Big Tank. Bro, what happened to giving players time? Alanga has had, 5 games with Newcastle. In due time, he will be better.
We don't know
Warren
that.
Dinning. Heston and Ainsley. You are now Fanny and Delia. That's Heston.
Here we go.
Oh, dear. Which one's funny and which one's Delia?
Let's be having you.
Let's be having you.
That is definitely the funny.
And Andrew Barrett. If we bought 2 top players to displace the first 11, we would have been skinned and would have no money left for the squad. The squad would then be too late. Quite right, too.
So what do we do then, lads? Do we buy players that we don't particularly think are the best players for the positions? We buy players that are just good enough. So from that point, we cannot go out and buy top-class players to improve our squad. We just have to go out and buy players who supplement the squad. That's for a Champions League team. That is really, really disappointing.
Too much sentiment.
No, I'm not going to dispute. I'm not going to dispute the fact that it's disappointing.
It's always been a situation where, when you look at it from the only loyalty, in any football club is from the fans. There is no loyalty from anybody that's coach, players, backroom staff. There's no loyalty whatsoever. It's all about how much money can I earn over the period of time that I work with you. Eddie Howe has somehow got to make this work, because at the end of the day, these are the players that he's picking. Now, whether we like it or not, as fans, as supporters of the club, we will all share an opinion. And like I said, until these guys prove that it was the wrong choice, my opinion says, well, these are your players, Eddie. You can't blame Stevie Bruce players anymore because they've gone. This is your chance to shine with the 11, 15, 17 players that you've bought into this side.
Right.
So now the spotlight is directly on you as a coach to
Agreed.
move us forward. So if it fails, if there's only one player, one person you're pointing the finger at. But I can't point a finger, and this is what I said, a non-blame culture, but a finger-pointing attitude. I can't say it's not bringing an upgrade to the squad because they are better players than the ones that have left. So I agree, it is an upgrade, but we could do better in a godforsaken bad window. And I think that is the biggest problem. And I think what's topped it all off is the Isak saga. Because with that now literally hanging over us, not knowing whether Isak stays, whether Isak goes, we are now, as daft as it looks, we could be starting the season with Anthony Gordon up top. Now, I question whether we get a goal on against Villa on Saturday. Never mind score 2 or 3. I'm actually wondering where we're going to get a goal from, because I don't see it within this side anymore. Because there's not enough movement from the top man to create anything. We don't get anything in the box. He isn't very good in the air. He never uses his head. So there's not a target man in the air. So if we're going to play Anthony Gordon up top, then we've got to utilise, as we did against Atletico Madrid, J7 in the middle, running behind him to give him that aerial support. And unfortunately, because J7's got a head like a 50 pence piece, you don't know where it's going to go when he heads the ball.
5 chances.
Gary, what does the manager see in it? This is what I don't understand. It never works, and every time he plays him there, we never win.
Who else goes there?
Barnes.
You'd put Barnes through the middle. He's got no
I
pace,
would,
mate.
I would put Barnes through the middle himself.
He's got more incisive running. He's better at build-up play, and he's a better finisher. He's a more natural finisher.
I'd
It's
certainly
very
put him in the
evident.
10. Yeah, I'd certainly put him in the 10.
Especially in a central position. It's so evident. I just don't get it.
I think you can get more out of Gordon as well, can't you, on the left, with his pace. His pace can then complement Barnes to the middle. If the ball drops to Barnes in that box, a snapshot, I'd trust him more. So I would do that.
I cannot understand playing Gordon through the middle, except that in his interview, the big interview he did with Sky, he said he's trying, under the present circumstances, he's trying to learn the rule and pick up the patterns, the sequences that they do. Ian Fleming, £5 super chat saying, sorry to hear you weren't well, Gary. Somebody said you were on holiday. That's why I made the comments. So,
I think
he said I was at his house, and I'm thinking, I don't even know where you live in. I'd love to be in Scotland.
one thing
He lives in Berwick,
point
Ian.
out is that
Berwick.
we do not have a striker at the minute
No.
who is able to hold up the ball and do what we need up front. That's
And that
big
is the problem.
It doesn't matter who we put up there. We can put Barnes, Gordon, bloody hell, we could put Pope up there.
Because we've gone for them.
Do a job of a striker. It's the top and bottom of it. Until we get one, we are knackered.
We are knackered.
And we've gone for those strikers that we desperately need in the event that Isak goes.
Who have we gone for,
And
Win?
we've been gazumped.
Who have we gone for?
Went for
Sesko?
Delap, Pedro, Ekitike, Sesko, quality players.
So apart from Ekitike and Sesko, what do you notice out of those targets?
Well, you tell me. I don't know what I want to notice. They're good players. If that's what
They
you
all
mean.
play in the Premier League. They're all going to come at a premium.
Yeah.
Sesko and Ekitike don't play in the Premier League.
That's what I'm saying. Apart from those two, they all come from the Premier League.
Well, there's only 2 other ones.
So how is it that, for example, a club like Bournemouth are able to find Evan Nilsson, for example?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We have to ask these questions. It's not acceptable.
What
It's
did
not
Evan
acceptable.
What did Evan Nielsen
In our
do last
biggest
year?
window, it's been a washout. Like, I think the sting's just been taken out. I think the excitement's long gone now. They just get the summer over with. And we have to ask those questions. They have failed.
A couple of interesting ones. I don't know whether you guys are interested, but I've just seen that Rico Lewis could potentially be lining up for a deal with Newcastle, with
Wow.
Tino going the other way.
Oh no.
That's what's being proposed.
Evan
So-
He
Nielsen
might have
last
been
year,
left
10
central
goals,
midfield.
1 assist. In
I was going to say
31
that would
games.
be a genius signing because he can play centre midfield as
Yeah,
well.
he could play in the six as well, can't he? And move around. And the other bit of news I've just been looking at, that somebody sent me, I don't know how true this is, that Newcastle have made an inquiry to Barcelona about Ferran Torres' availability for potentially a loan with the option to buy. So
Tasty.
again, that would be a nice one if that
That's
one comes.
a nice player.
Yeah, exactly. And again, though, I think this is where I've often been a little bit disillusioned with the tactics of Eddie Howe, because he doesn't like to go into the loan market very often. We've seen it work with the likes of Hall. Hopefully, Ramsdale gets a good shout as well this season. But there seems to be a very limited option where he goes and looks for players to come out on loan, to have a 12-month valuation of them. You see, for me, that would have been the perfect Elanga situation. If he could come in on loan, see what he can do for 12 months. Because I'm like you, Jeffo, as much as I haven't seen a great deal of him in a black and white shirt yet, and I agree that we've still got to give the lads time to get bedded into Eddie Howe tactics and things like that. There was never a way of me looking at the way Forest play with the out ball for the likes of Elanga to run into free space, to how we play very pressing football. And when we drop back into our 4-5-1 shape, then when we do an out, it's usually the opposition that drop back into that final third and not allow the space behind. Now, we all saw what Elanga can do against Atletico Madrid. The pace, he got 5 yards on a player and he skinned him by 5 yards by the time he got to the ball. The biggest problem for me then was his final third decisions. His ball into the box just aren't that good. And again, if you haven't got a natural striker in the middle of the park, and I'm talking Gordon, if Gordon doesn't make the moves or gambles to the front post, which is where a lot of our balls from the left-hand side and a lot of our balls from the right-hand side seem to be coming to, then the balls are always going to get cleared. And that's what I'm saying. For me, it's a case of we've got literally 3 more days to the start of the season. And as of yet, the only striker at the club that could wear a shirt at this present moment in time is Asula, Sean Neve, and I've watched young Sean Neve tonight, and is he up to a Premier League? Nowhere near. But he's Asula. I don't think he is. Nowhere near good enough for a Premier League. It may work on the right-hand side, but I just can't see him being a striker. And I think that's 10 million that has been wasted from the recommendation from Mad Dog, because Mad Dog saw something in him in his Sheffield United days. So, you've got to question, and you're quite right in questioning it. Why do teams of a lesser pedigree, the likes of Bournemouth, Brentford, bring in players of the likes of Mbuemo, Wissa, that have been able to turn these lesser clubs, and that's no disrespect to them, but you've got to think of the fan base and everything else and where they are in the pecking order, and they've turned them round exponentially. So for me, there is still players that we haven't bought in. And again, I read that really long statement the other day that was quite cleverly put out there by Newcastle about their scouting setup and network. And apparently, and again, it's there for everybody to go and research. They don't allow any scouts to talk to any of the media. They don't allow any of the recruiting staff to talk to the media at all. They have all signed NDAs. So there's non-disclosure on anything or any person that they're looking at, unless it's leaked by the club, the parental club of the player that it's been linked to. So
part of the thing with that is, Gary, that as well, in regards to the scouting network, we don't cast our net far and wide. We seem to have from what you're saying, we would never know if there were, But I think the proof's in the pudding that we don't get players from South American leagues, we don't get players from Asian leagues, we don't get players from far out European leagues. Basically, all we seem to scout is the top leagues around the world. Sorry, around Europe.
Yeah. Just been
One more
looking at.
thing, Jonathan David was available on a free. I saw someone put it in the chat. I was going on about it for weeks, and everyone was like, "Oh, we can't afford his wages." According to the internet, he's only on 100 grand a week. Was
Who's
so
this?
affordable.
Well, for
Jonathan
Juventus.
David, Champions League quality as
Love
well.
it.
Jonathan David, 100
But
grand a week.
Jonathan David, he's not a...
Yes, they gave him a 12.5 million pound signing
Sign-on
bonus,
fee, yeah.
but that was based over 3 seasons, so split into chunks. It's
So-
still nothing based on the player getting the player for free. Like that was a
Do-
slam
12
dunk.
million is 80 grand a week. So that's the equivalent of what you were saying was wrong about us doing it with Kelly. Paying him 150 grand a week, more than Isak.
But we have
That
this
was
guy.
because
We
the
saw Isak. We're covered.
signing-on fee, which was non-existent in the case of Kelly, was spread over the length of his contract and wages. So Kelly would have actually been on 50 grand a week, but the 100 grand was part of his signing-on fee over the 5 years.
Fair enough, but we're talking about an average defender from a mid-table team.
And
This
I
is
think
a
we're talking
Champions
about an
League-
average
this is a
striker with
Champions
Jonathan
League
David.
quality striker who, if we signed him on a free, we would sell Isak and be like, okay, we don't miss him. Like you've literally got a replacement there for free. You know.
Well, talking about a
Just read it.
striker,
Yeah,
have you guys saw the Al Hilal thing about Mitrovic? That they're on about releasing him, paying him his 25 million termination fee, so he'll come on as a free agent if that happens. Would you take it?
I would take Mitrovic tomorrow. I mean, I don't know what sort of form he's in or been in. Well, I do know because he scored 20 odd goals in the Saudi league last season. So why would they possibly want rid of him unless it's PIF doing us a favour?
Never go back when.
I'm going to say that was my. Does he come back as with the same type of heart?
Well, I've got no idea.
He got 14 league goals for Fulham in his final season for
the
Fulham.
final season, yeah.
And I watched him live. It was a couple of years ago now. He scored a couple of goals, I think, versus QPR. They beat QPR 4-1. And I could see he looked muscular and lean and fit. Whereas before he'd been a bit overweight. And that was the year that he got, 43 goals.
Yeah.
So very much a changed player. And I think he was the top scorer in the European qualifiers at the time. He got like 12 goals or something. So he's a different player for sure.
Yeah.
How old is he now?
I agree.
Yeah,
What's
I
that,
mean,
31.
He's 32, isn't he? 32.
Mitrovic for me wasn't given the lickings of a dog by Benitez. Benitez just didn't rate him.
But I mean, he gives you that grit up front, doesn't he?
Yeah,
He certainly gives you that bit of.
Those crosses.
That's what I'm saying. That's the type of
You'd
player
have
you
the
need.
instincts, wouldn't he? You'd have the instincts that obviously none of our players have right now.
That's one thing you never lose.
Yeah.
You know, there's a method to the madness, right? I've been cussing us saying all we do is we get it to the right and cross it in. Well, if you've got a striker like Mitrovic with a big old noggin,
Yeah,
it starts to
Mitro.
make sense,
Well,
doesn't it?
That's the other thing about the games Alanga's played. He's got to where he needs to get to. When he's crossed the ball, you know, there's two schools of thought. There were either poor crosses because they didn't connect, or they didn't connect because we haven't got the fox in the box that we need to capitalise on them.
Well, that's it. And like, don't get us wrong, I do think some of the crosses were poor, but some of them were in good areas as well.
Exactly.
And I think my biggest critique is falling into the trap of getting to the final third and playing triangles on the edge of the box and going nowhere and then recycling the ball going back. Alanga was the only one in that friendly game who was testing their defenders. Even if it was just putting out for throwing, you're still testing.
Or a corner.
A court, whatever, exactly. Even if the keeper's coming out to catch it, you're still testing that goalkeeper. You're still making them play. And that's what I liked about Alanga in the games that I've seen so far.
Me too.
Granted, I have the same concerns about the deep line defence when we're up against that. But I think just our overall point, I really hope that we don't fall into this trap of triangles on the edge of the box constantly, averse to taking any risk, while also taking massive risk in the wrong areas further back. To me, it's the wrong way round.
Yeah.
I tell you,
Thank you, folks. We've just passed the 200 likes. Thank you very much.
Thank
I
you
tell
so
you what,
much.
part of the problem is as well that in the pre-season games, a lot of them have been frightened to put balls into the box at a height, like head height.
Yeah, yeah.
You've noticed a lot of them have been quite like trying to cross feet wise, and it doesn't work. You kind of set up like that. We need a focal point in the box. We just need somebody in who is a striker up there.
Yeah.
And I know it's everybody will agree, and that's what we need to go back
Completely
to. But
agree with that.
until we'll get that,
And that
we
ain't
are
that ain't Isak either, by the way.
Need to play through the middle somehow,
yeah.
even if it's inside forward channel.
You know,
So if we practice in a way where they start in a wide position, they curve their runs in. All of a sudden, you've got two runners through the middle. We got to try that as opposed to because we're going to be too easy to scout. Everybody knows we're going to the wings, and then what?
I'm pretty certain
know.
that they'll actually be doing that right now because we now have to think about gearing our game, which hitherto has been focused on giving Isak where it's best to give him the ball. We've got it's a complete change. If he's not going to be there, we've got to suddenly change that system and work out how we're going to do it. And that's not going to happen overnight.
No.
It's not win. It's not. I'll just say one thing though, right? Sometimes I think we can overcomplicate things, in football. And when you put a ball in the right area, just now, like you did 50 years ago, it still causes the same panic with a defender. And I think sometimes you can overthink things, like I say. And when you bring things down back to basics, when we play Villa at Villa Park, we need to just try and play the principles of football that have been around for donkey's years. Don't overthink it. Put the ball in the corridor of uncertainty. Have Gordon running into those areas. He's got that. If he's playing it, that's what I'll play Barnes. But if he's playing up front, make those defenders think, where is he? I just think we can overcomplicate these things at times.
Yeah, I agree.
Abby and Share up front, man.
I just want to mention what Warren Dinning's saying
Couple of
there.
good finishes against Villa last time.
Yeah.
We haven't had a full. We haven't yet, and I think this is a criticism as well. By the way, that in every pre-season game we've played, we have never started what would be our starting 11, and so to base the performances which have happened on, the sides that have turned out, we haven't ever actually. I thought Atletico Madrid, I thought we would have started what would have been, in the first half, what would have been our first team 11, near enough that we're going to play against Villa. I thought that's what we would have done. I think that's what we should have done. And then swap them all at half-time, whatever. But we haven't. Throughout the whole of the pre-season friendlies, we've been mixing and matching and putting kids in, and it patently hasn't worked if you look at the results. And we still haven't had what will be our first team lining up against proper opposition. So
why hasn't Eddie done that win?
Well, that's I'm criticising Eddie for doing that because I think we should have done it. It's difficult when you've got a Friday night and a next day game to do it, because it would have meant if we're going to start them on the Saturday afternoon, we couldn't have played any of them on the Friday night. So that's kind of ripping the punters off. Going to see a team and they're not seeing any of the first team starters. So there's the balancing act to do there. But all I'm saying is, at some stage in the Far East, for example, we should have had the full first team out against proper opposition.
So what's your thoughts behind why Eddie hasn't done that?
Because, my thoughts why that's happened is because we haven't got the squad to do it. If we'd put a completely second-rate squad out, we would have been battered out of sight.
I mean, the one thing that you actually saw, and again, this is why I harp on about squad depth. When we played Atletico Madrid, the second half when they made the changes, I thought Atletico Madrid actually got better with them changes than they did the team that went out and we got a 0-0 in the first half. It was a competitive game. But when they made the changes and you could see our athleticism drop off, we certainly were on the press. Again, typical Spanish side know how to keep the ball playing around us, making us run, and we couldn't do that, and that's what so frustrates me so much when these so-called big players, can't just pass a ball 5 to 10 yards without it being behind you or in front of you. Do what the Spaniards do. Train like the Spaniards do, for God's sake. Pass it into feet and have a vision to go square and see it before you receive the ball, because give and goes are so simple. And that's the frustrating thing for me. It doesn't matter what squad you've got on there. If you can't pass the ball to feet from 10, 15 yards, then you've got a problem.
Gary, we're finally on the same hymn sheet. This is what I've been saying and no one's listening. You're talking about possession and passing the ball, and we're trying to buy Ramsey who runs with the ball. It doesn't fit. So this is what I'm saying. When we were looking at Amir Richardson or even better El Canoes, that's someone that's in possession and can play in that sort of number 10 role.
In the hole.
We're not going to match teams like Atletico Madrid if we keep buying athletic players. But this is what Eddie's comfortable with, because he's come up through the EFL. He's been in a mid-table team. That's his style. So it's not going to change. That's the thing. So we can't elevate until someone, because it could be, because sometimes I said as well, maybe it's not just Eddie, maybe it's having a stronger number 2, a good assistant manager other than Tindu, who's going to be his mate and say, yeah, everything's all right, Gov. You want someone who's going to challenge you. Mourinho in his best years had Rui Faria. Fergie had Rene Mullenstein. Whoever it is, they're not meant to be your friend. They're meant to challenge you. Arteta clearly was a good number 2 for Pep. He just needs some new ideas, because the other downsides of the running style that we do, it takes about 8 to 10 games for the players to get fit and to get optimum. So we can't keep relying on that style. So a part of that is the recruitment side. You just touch on it perfectly. We're literally, to get to the next level, we're desiring players that are comfortable in possession, can play the ball, and link to what Tim said. Tim said, keep it simple. Well, guess what? Keep it simple is letting the ball do the work, not the man, i.e. pass from A to B, not run. You pass the ball. So trying to sign players like Ramsey is not gonna change that.
Yeah, but
What I would say to that is the system that you are so derogatory of with Eddie Howe has won us our first trophy in 70 years, and it's got us in the Champions League 2 years out of 3.
Can I just
rest my case.
Can I just make a point on what Win said? Can I just make a point on what Win said? You said that the squads that we put out aren't good enough, like the second squad. And if you go back through previous videos, through since the end of last season, you personally said this is the best squad we have ever had. And I pulled you up, on that and said it's the best team we've ever had, but not the best squad.
And I'm still maintaining it's the best squad.
You carried on saying this is the best squad we've ever had.
Is.
So this is the best squad we've ever had, mate.
Yep.
So you still stand by. So how can you stand by that and say, but we can't put a second?
Because you don't play 11 squad players in a game. You play the first team with 1 or 2 of the squad players.
But you put a squad out if you need a second team out.
Nobody ever plays 11 reserves. If you've got a fantastic
squad, you can put a second team out. From what you're saying, you can't do that.
Yeah, but we're not Atletico Madrid, are we? That's what I'm saying.
I'm not saying we are, but all I'm saying is we can't cover players in other positions as a second squad. So if you're saying this is the best squad we've ever had, you can basically cover every position as a second team player.
You're not going to lose 11 all at once. We can now cover 2 or 3 out at a time, which we couldn't before.
So this isn't the best squad we've ever had.
I'm saying which we couldn't before. The reason
I'm saying to you,
the
so
reason it's the best squad now
yeah,
is because we can now afford to lose one or two of the first teamers and replace them without the level dropping dramatically.
but when that's not a squad.
Of
A
course, it's
squad,
a
squad is that you can replace every player with a second player.
Well, that's what I said.
yeah, but
Players
not
that
all
make
at
a
the same
difference.
time.
But
That's a squad. That's a squad of players. You don't get it.
Okay. So you refer back to 1997.
What you're saying is 14, and what you're saying is 3 or 4 players. So 13, 14 players is a squad. It's not. A squad is being able to replace every player with a different player.
But again, we go back to where we were before. Are the players that have left, and again, I talk about sellable assets. Newcastle have not had a sellable asset for a long time until these lads have come on board. And since we've heard Darren Hill say they've all got a price if the price is matched to what we believe their value is. So what we have to start looking at now is we are at a situation, a bit of a crossroads, if you like, in this project, because we are going to have to lose a decent player to move forward. And I think that is common knowledge now, because you're quite right. We haven't got like for like off the bench for the first 11, but we have got an upgrade on a squad. And when you start looking, and this is what I said, when you start looking at, and again, we argue the point, we all have the same issues when you've got 2 and 3 goalkeepers on a bench. You have to question why you haven't got enough numbers in depth to put one goalkeeper on a bench as the rest as outfield players. That's always been an issue. It was an issue through most of last season. So you could see, even last season, with the amount of times that there was 2 or 3 keepers on the bench, that there was a problem with injuries and suspensions. And I think we need to start looking into it and saying we can't keep relying on the under-21s to fill that void until they are ready. And they've played Gateshead tonight, and they've won with the last kick of the game by the looks of it. So well done, the under-21s in the cup. Win, I've seen we had a couple of super chats come in, mate. Do you want to throw them up?
Yeah. We had Big Tank is saying maybe Eddie is preparing for the games without possession. City, Liverpool, Chelsea, etc. are going to have most of the possession. We'll need pace then. Warren Dinning is saying there's not a hole unless there's a toad in it. Andy Bow, we bought 2 top players to displace. If we bought 2 top players to displace the first 11, we would have been skint and would have no money left for the squad.
Then so be it. And the first team players become the squad players.
Well,
and what happened?
It's the
what
same
happened
thing.
when they get injured?
Well, they wouldn't get injured if we weren't doing such a physical style. So it's a chicken and egg scenario with the manager. We have to question it. He supposedly learnt from Simeone. Did you see that we were playing the same way as Simeone's team? No.
Well,
No.
it was
And I'll come
crazy.
back to it.
You just said in that two subs are enough.
I'll come back to it in a sec. That you've got Klopp that played a similar style. Simeone that played a similar style. What did you notice? Both of those managers evolved the team. They realized that we can't play this lambasting running style all the time. So if you talked about the changes that Atletico Madrid made. If you've got Gallagher in there, who, Win loves, for example.
That was a friendly against half a team.
But I'm just saying, Gallagher, right? He's got the energy running up and down. Fine. I'm not saying you shouldn't have it in your team. But if you notice, they had Alex Baena, who's technically a very gifted player, and Koke, who can control a game. So you've got 2 profiles of players there in the midfield or in a slightly attacking position that can control the ball and cut through the lines. We don't have that. We just have runners. And this is my point. It's head against brick wall situation. When's everyone going to realize if we're going to evolve, progress, and change? I'm not saying we have to get rid of the manager, but he either needs a DOF or a new assistant manager saying, Eddie, what you're doing isn't working.
How did Atleti score that 2 goals?
Huh?
How did Atleti score that 2 goals?
Well, obviously they caught us on the break, which we get caught on.
Nothing to do with running or anything else to do with
the
slow back four,
mate. Because that's even worse on Eddie. That we're making the same mistakes every year. because the same happened against Luton, the same happened against Forest, the same happened against Bournemouth. How many times we going to get caught on the break? We're not improving.
Okay, so
we-
what's he
We
done?
plateaued,
What's
mate.
he done to
We
rectify that?
plateaued.
He's
We make
brought
the
in
same
Malik
mistake.
Diao, who's got
We make
pace.
the same mistakes. We make the same mistakes.
On the back of that, how many games did we win in pre-season?
We didn't win any.
Disgraceful. 6.
6
We didn't win.
games, not a single win.
And we
Does that not tell
conceded
you
a lot of
something?
goals. Conceded a lot of goals as well.
Yeah. So there you go. At this present moment in time, with what we've got in the squad, if you like, and again, this is including bench players. It looks okay, you know, in the back line, if you like. It looks like we've got decent cover as a goalkeeper with Ramsdale and Pope. I think we've got good cover at right back with Trippier and Tino. And Tino, we now can drop over into left back, and he does a job for us there as well. I'm happy with that. I'm happy with our centre halves to a degree, because obviously Malik Chow now coming in, he covers both the left centre defence as well as the right centre defence. So if you do get a situation where you get Burn and obviously Botman that potentially Glass go down or suspended or whatever, you have got Chow now that can come and cover that left centre back position,
And Kraft.
with Lascelles and Shaw covering that right centre back. And again, you've got the backup with Kraft. You know, for me, and I'll keep saying it, your midfield and forward line, it's your spine of your team, and they've got I'd say quarter of it done now, because, you know, anything happens to any of those three in midfield, are we happy with just having Miley and Willock as backup? Because I ain't. Because we've seen Miley trying to play in J7's position and he fails miserably. We've seen Willock, he lasts half a game if we're lucky. Even though I think the lad has got the athleticism and the skill set to do something. I just think sometimes, unfortunately, his body fails him in his prime. And then obviously left side, I think we're good now with Barnes and Gordon. And like I said, if Gordon can come back a half the player he was when he signed his new contract, before he signed his new contract, I'll be more than happy. And we know Barnes can score goals. I'm like Jeffo with Elanga. I'm still out a little bit because I want to see what he can produce. And we know Murphy, with a decent centre forward, can create and get goals. But for me, what is got to be imperative now is we've got to, you know, if all the concentration is on Wissa, and we know that Wissa's in a situation of a domino effect, because it depends on whether Brentford can get a replacement, then it depends on whether Bournemouth can get a replacement before we get Wissa. That could be 2 or 3 games into the season. Have we got enough through the middle to get us goals? And I can't see it. Even if you bring in somebody's just, I've seen say, bring Sean Neve in. Sean Neve isn't the answer. Not at this level. He's a great player at his own level. I wish him well. And I don't think he's anywhere near Premier League ready yet.
I would certainly rather have Elanga played through the middle than Gordon. Because
But
Elanga has played there and can do the job.
Excuse me.
Still not ideal.
No, but you know what? While we've got
hold the ball up, is the top bottom. We're knackered if we didn't get anybody who can keep the ball up there.
Well, Isak can't keep the ball up. That's one of the worst aspects of his game is holding the ball up back to goal.
But Isak's faults are
I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back a few years. Would you have J7 up top again?
No.
Listen, why not?
Why not?
Because he can at least hold the ball. This is what I'm saying. We're not using like our wingers, we're using them as traditional wingers, isn't it? If we use them as inside forwards running closer inside the channel, if Joe Linton's holding the ball, we've got someone to lay it off. Do you know what I'm saying?
Hang on, Jeff.
If he's a hold-up player, then maybe that could work. Obviously, if a chance fell to him, I don't trust him to put it away.
No, if he has to think about it,
with, like you say, the wingers running off him.
Yeah,
maybe it could work. But do you want to take him out of midfield?
Well, that's what I said.
Jeffo is the very guy who says that J7 has got no ball control, no nothing.
No, I didn't say that. I'm just saying in possession, he's not the most like he's not the best. He's not the most comfortable. When I have seen him do well was the times where we had Willock left side and Joe Linton left wing forward. Actually, I thought he did okay.
Yeah,
And his time in Hoffenheim, he did well as a left wing forward because he could drift in that inside space because there were so many comparisons with him and Firmino before we signed him. So that is something to experiment with. And just a couple of positives. I actually thought Ashby did well in the games that I saw him. Shaha did all right. There's more to come from him.
Yeah.
And actually, Miley, I don't know if you guys could answer. I don't know if Miley played left centre midfield against Espanyol because I actually thought he had a good game against Espanyol. I thought he was like actually, dictating the play a little bit.
Yeah.
I think there's a
well, we
role
did.
for him somewhere.
I think
we had Harrison Ashby, didn't we, as right centre midfield? So it was it's a sticky situation when you look at the makeup of that midfield because you're absolutely right. It took 10 to 15 minutes for Harrison Ashby to find his feet in midfield, not being a natural midfielder. But then he started to move around a little bit rather than being stuck in the centre circle and started to be part of an amalgamation of a squad, if you like. And I think the difference is with Miley, because of his very limited experience, but experience now, he did shine in a very makeshift midfield against Espanyol. But again, when it comes to the time that we've seen him playing in Premier League teams versus Premier League teams, I should say, in a match that means something, he goes missing a little bit for me. And that's why I said, would you not look at J7 going up? I mean, as much as I don't like saying this, because I don't think J7's a striker, but what you do get with J7 is somebody who's going to muscle his way into positions and everything else. If you've got somebody, and again, we talk about Harvey Barnes now, right? Play Harvey Barnes just behind him. Play your two main centre midfielders as your sixes with a rotation in and out the eight. As we know that Bruno likes to do box to box, and we know Tonali's got that ability to do that. And then you've got your, who's going to play left side of midfield then? Because
Lewis Hall, maybe?
You get Gordon. You've still got Gordon. That's what I said. You've still got Anthony Gordon doing his straight down the left-hand side. Alanga or Murphy down the right. It doesn't matter. But for me, what you've got there is a shape of a player as a target man that you can get the ball up to if you need to, especially against Aston Villa. Somebody who's going to be not bullied off the ball like Anthony Gordon is up the middle. And then they can lay it off. And then, like you said, it's about a slow build-up then, because you've got the likes of Barnes coming onto the ball from that central position who can feed it left or right or have a pop because he can use both left and right foot as a strike at goal. So for me, it's an ideal situation in an unideal world because you haven't got the abilities at the minute to play who you want to put up there, who's going to give you that goals.
Well, Gary, I was going to answer that. If you've got a pair of big balls and you're Eddie Howe, do you not go out and say, Isak, you ready?
Yes.
And Isak, you're playing?
Yes.
You're my striker. You're my striker. This is the thing. And then force that lad into making the decision to refuse to play.
Where's our Maricanas? Because that's what you need at our club. You need one of the big bollocks that sit in the boardroom, to come downstairs and say to him, I pay you your bloody wages on a monthly basis, but you get this amount a week, you get a shirt on, you get on that field, and you show me you're bloody worth it. Yeah. Because if you don't, trust me, you'll be fined every bloody week.
Then it answers a hell of a lot of questions for you. If he does, then it answers questions the other way.
The only thing it does do is it begs the question of the rest of the squad because they have to accept that decision. And in the current circumstances, are the rest of the squad ready, willing and able? If Eddie was to do that.
But again, Eddie's the manager. He goes in and says to them, "This is my decision."
Yeah,
he's the best striker we've got. Any of you want to argue with that?
right? So
No, none of
if,
them.
what I
if
said.
the rest, if
None
the
of them
rest of
do.
the squad,
None of them do. So he says, if he plays, then that's great. That proves he'll stay. If he doesn't play, then we've got a massive problem with this lad.
Yeah.
well,
That to me is, you know, I can't understand why we're playing the softy touch here. We're wrapping him up with
Yeah.
cotton wool and just saying, you know, come back to us when you feel better in your head, lad. That's not the way to do
Do
it.
you not think maybe like? Do you not think he has said to him, "Come back," and Isak said no?
Well,
Do you know what I mean?
Eddie said
I'm
if
reading
he,
the
That
lines
calls him
here.
out then, Tim. If he goes in for that game and says, Isak, you're starting. If
Yeah.
Isak refuses, then that calls him out completely, and it puts everything in the
It's
press.
quite a nail, isn't it? I know what you
Everything's
mean.
downhill.
I just think like if you read between the lines, essentially he's already refusing. Do you know what I mean? He's already took himself out. He's refusing
Yeah.
to train with the
But
players.
then
Like,
it makes it a hell of a lot easier for Eddie in that he's then said, "I'm not playing," so everything's out in the public. Then it's obvious he's not playing.
that,
Let's make him make a bridge for to kill himself, basically.
well, that's what I said. At this present moment in time, what we've done is we've played the softy approach. So Isak has a way. He's would either way. The power at the minute is with Isak as a player, and that should never be, because, like I said, if Liverpool comes in, he gets exactly what he wants. He goes on his merry way, and we get a payment for him. If he stays, and Liverpool turn around and say, you know what, we've got to concentrate on two centre halves now, so we're going to pull away from centre forward. We're going to go with Ekatike, and we'll see where we stand in January. Then, you know, he could come out and say, like I said at the start, I never mentioned anything. The gaffer told me to stay away from training. It wasn't me who said, oh, I didn't want to trade away from the ground. That's what I'm saying. We've not heard anything from any media, any source from the club to say, apart from Eddie himself coming out and saying, I don't want the lad training with us until he's ready in the mindset to come and train and wants to train and wants to play. I don't want him anywhere near the training if he hasn't got that.
Earns the right.
He has to earn that. And that's what I'm saying. So
we-
all
we
we've
do-
heard is from Eddie Howe. We haven't heard from anybody else.
We need to put Isak on his toes. So say, as I say, this match, just turn around and say, right, you're a starter. You're in the squad. You're in the team. I'll justify it with the rest of the squad. You get your arse in here and do it. If he then refuses, then that's a complete different kettle of fish for them.
Then we know everybody knows it's
start the whole
certainly a
disciplinary
novel
process
a
against
novel thought, and
Yeah.
I'm not totally anti that, by the way.
Gary,
Well, yes, buddy.
I was going to say, just quickly going back to that team, because I just wanted to get, I'm really weird like that. I just wanted to get it in my head because I thought it was quite, I didn't see the creativity. I thought it was quite positive what you came up with, because you made me think that, sorry, I know I've gone back from the Isak topic.
No, it's okay. I'm just going to put on the screen the squads and the squad numbers.
It could work as as a perfect away performance. You could smash and grab a 1-0 sort of thing. If you, let's just say, for instance, you put Lewis Hall in midfield, you put Tino to left back where he's excelled better than right back, and you put Trippier at right back. I don't know if you would give Thiaw his debut or not, but I think that could work. So just to look at it thoroughly, who would be in the midfield if you move you're saying J7, Ilanga, and
so you leave the team as is, right? You could leave the team as is. You can make subtle changes if you want to. But for me, the one person that makes that left-hand side tick alongside Anthony Gordon is Lewis Hall. He's the one that he's a natural left footer, so can whip balls in naturally when he overlaps. So for me, if Anthony Gordon decides to come inside and you've got Hall ripping down that right-hand side, left-hand side, he can whip a natural ball in, or Anthony Gordon can try and bend one in with his right foot. So it's going to the back stick. What you have, you see, for me, the way I look at it, again, you're clutching at straws when we even talking about putting J7 up top is clutching at straws. That's how desperate we are. But like I said, the one thing that J7 will create is problems for defences. And when you've got somebody like who's so muscular, who's not frightened to put an elbow in, put his arm up around somebody's throat, somebody who's really going to get on the toes, tread on toes, he's not Mr. Nice Guy when you're playing it in a game. Defenders hate that. Trust me, defenders hate that. I used to stick my finger up somebody's backside, a striker in front of me, just to pull him off. Things like that, things happen. And what I look at, you see, is then what
VAR
you've
now,
actually,
though.
yeah, yeah, I do it for fun now. It's like the lamb's leg. Anyway, that's a different story. When you get when you look at the now, you've got a target man. You said about Elanga being the out ball for pace over the back. You imagine if you've got somebody who's a target man, somebody who's strong, that can just control the ball, get it away from your defensive third, even if it means that you have to go backwards to move forward. And that's why I said you could use either Harvey Barnes in that 10 zone, like you said, somebody who can strike a ball from 20, 25 yards, left or right footed. You can play through the channels. He's got a bit of vision. What it does give you, though, unfortunately, it limits you then off the bench. Players that can come in off the bench that can make a difference. And I think that's why Harvey Barnes has never really been involved in a game where Anthony Gordon's been available on that left-hand side. Yes, he's been utilised on the right-hand side because we've been very weak at times with only having the likes of Murphy there. So Eddie Howe's tried to shuffle it around. And that's what makes me wonder with Eddie Howe looking at the likes of Ramsey, another Willock-type player, somebody who was more of an offensive player than defensive player, somebody who can potentially sit in that hole on the half turn and run at defences, because we all know no defender likes to be run at, and they'll try and take you down as much as you can. But to me, it's about putting the strongest team that you can possibly have at the start of the Villa game, really get at them, really unnerve them. And then if you have to tweak and make different changes as the game progresses, become a little bit more defensive, drop J7 back into midfield. Bring on, drop that number 10, bring him over to the left-hand side, throw Anthony Gordon through the middle for a bit of pace. Throw Elanga. I mean, somebody said in his Manchester youth games, he started as a striker because he was so electric.
Him over, isn't it? Because it could cause confusion.
Absolutely.
Defense, isn't it?
But for me, it's a case of how do I unsettle Aston Villa? And unfortunately, Anthony Gordon's too nice. He's too nice to play against. Asula is too easy to play against as a defender. He's a yo-yo because he'll just keep coming back at you. Doesn't take me left, doesn't take me right. He just bounces back at me. So as a defender, all I've got to do is give you 10 yards because you may beat me at pace, but I know you're going to run straight past me, so I'll just step in front of you. Then you've got to fight me. And that's what I'm saying. That's why I love Isak, because Isak gives you something totally different. He is the Thierry Henry of today. He goes left, he goes right. When he's got the mindset, and I think that is the problem with Eddie Howe. And, what Boki was saying, has Eddie Howe got a big enough pair of bollocks to say to him, you're playing, get your head out of your arse and do a job for us? It should have already been done. He should have already been back in training, the same as Wissa was. Wissa, come back cap in hand, was allowed to train, and apparently now it's Wissa who's told, it's the club who have now told Wissa to go and train solo, because obviously tactics and everything else come on board. But like I said before, I think every day that goes by now, closer to this window closing, Isak remains a Newcastle player. And we have to, as a club, get the best out of Isak if that eventuality happens. Guys, like I said, we've been on 2 hours. We've done and covered, as always, quite a lot. I love talking to you guys because as much as we may disagree, we're all Newcastle.
Surely not.
Nice positive ending though. Actually, I feel all of a sudden after you talking through that, I actually feel a bit more hopeful about the game because I've had a few mini nights.
I think we'll only lose 3-1 now with Villa.
Well, I haven't even put my
number 2. Get Gary in as Eddie's
I haven't even given my prediction yet because I'm so bloody frightened. I'm so frightened because I just can't see how we get goals. Like I say, and I can see Harvey Barnes not starting. I can see Anthony Gordon starting. I look at the right hand side, and who do you start, Murphy or Elanga? They both give you something different. So that's something that Eddie Howe has a headache over, which is what I wanted at the end of the day. I want the manager, the coach, to be having a problem picking the 11. I don't want to sit here on a Thursday night when we are discussing the potential lineups and going, he's going to play. He's going to play. He's going to play. You more or less can do that in the midfield because we know it would take somebody very special to replace them. But I don't want it to be around, again, it shouldn't be there. There should be still people contesting for those spots. And the more game time Miley gets, the better he will get. And I keep saying that. Miley's got to prove himself this year because he will have game time. What he can't afford to do is step off the pace when he's got the opportunity to shine. And that goes for every single one of them. Anything else, boys, before we say goodnight to the lovely
thank
viewers?
you for all the super chats. We had Edo Pool, Irish Assassin, thank you as usual. Huge Janus.
Quality.
Big Tank. Big Tank again, thank you. Irish Assassin again. Ian Fleming, wishing Gary well.
Thank you, Ian.
Irish Assassin again, thank you, Irish Assassin. Warren Dinning, Heston and Ainsley, you are now funny and Delia. Andrew Barwick, thank you. Warren Dinning. Big Tank again, thank you. And finally, Tino just come in there with the last one. Great show, lads. Thank you, Tino.
I've just seen that one just jump in there, Win. Is that one still in the chat or what?
Which one?
It hasn't showed on the screen. That one there, it's in green. Look, can you see it on the in the chat?
Big Tank.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know where that's gone.
Yeah, we did that one. Maybe Eddie's preparing for games without possession. This is when Jeffo was saying, we're useless in possession. City, Liverpool, etc. are going to have most of the possession. We'll need pace then.
Oh, yeah, I remember you read that one.
I've just seen one come up in the chat as I'm looking at the screen now. And it was highlighted green, but it didn't show on my screen as a super chat. I don't know what happened there because I can't see it now. And it was saying something the likes of, we can talk about Eddie all day, what ifs, what buts and stuff like that. But I didn't catch the rest of it. So apologies if that come through as a super chat because it's disappeared now.
Well, I'm back 10 minutes, 11 minutes, 12 minutes, and there's no much.
The last one that comes up is
if I have missed
show,
one,
lads.
do beg your pardon.
Yeah, absolutely. It wasn't meant.
That's down to YouTube.
Yeah.
Win.
Look, I saw it as green.
Win. When are you going to start shouting again? All this quiet stuff, mate.
I think I've done a bit. I've done a bit shouting tonight.
I miss you shouting.
It don't need him shouting. My bloody ears are bad enough. It drives me insane when you guys start talking over each other.
You would get me granny shouting.
Oh, bless. So, thank you so much.
The same old drum. Get rid of Eddie. Get him replaced. Doesn't know what he's doing.
Need a DOF.
I'm going to beat him at 5 and 3s on this weekend. So.
Oh, well, good luck with that. I look forward to that.
That'll make him shout.
Yeah, exactly. Tomorrow night, we have got our first preview of the new season, Aston Villa. So we've got an Aston Villa guy coming on as well. So he's going to give us some idea of what he thinks the Aston Villa shout's going to be like. And obviously, we're going to have a look at potentially our lineup. That's going to be fun. Fingers crossed, anyway. So, again, thank you to the Mighty Win, Boki, Tim, Jeffo, and obviously Doc Omar. They unfortunately had to leave a little bit early. But we are, as always, thankful to everybody out there that has
shown us
super chats. Apologies for all of you guys that have sent some really good stuff in. There's been lots to talk about. And like as always, we just got far too much coming through to talk, and show everybody's chat. But again, absolutely love it. Thank you so much for supporting us as always. And until the next one, it's a goodbye from all of them over there.
And it's a goodbye from him and Howie the lads.
Lassies and bairns. And well done to the lads tonight. Keep up the good work. Cheers, boys. We'll see you tomorrow.
Peace.